I had to switch location because my phone is dying.
I feel
So,
you. Hey, I'm glad it worked out for you too. Then it's
yeah,
perfect.
it was perfect. I was like, yo, I hope my phone doesn't die right now.
Nah, that's perfect, bro. I'm glad that actually worked out. I'm so glad that worked out. Good, 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 good. Jimmy should be back on any second now. Excellent. Now we just need Mark, and then we're good to go. But yeah, y'all.
Hey,
I got my
But yeah,
phone
that's the
on this
y'all.
baby.
segment. My
Hey,
little
what's up,
phone
baby
Hey,
call.
boy?
baby.
How you doing?
Yo, my man got the Mexican, man.
I got
Right.
it for
Oh
this year.
man, this worked out for
Blowing,
everybody.
Yeah.
blowing.
Right, right, right. Okay, Mark's coming back. All right,
What's
Mark's
up,
back
boss?
on. Oh man, this is excellent. We got Jimmy with with his little hymn with baby boy. We got
Nice.
we got we got Gene who had to reposition himself because his battery was dying. So
Yep,
this whole thing worked out pretty well in
it
terms of
worked
like
out
getting
perfectly.
his back on. Yeah, man, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. And again, like I said before, gentlemen, I didn't want to keep it going because I felt as if we would have ran over a little bit of time, and because of that, I didn't want to take the chance of because this happened on a IG live like about a couple months ago where it cut off and I wasn't even able to save the material for our audio format. The first half
Yeah,
was gone. I was sick. So this conversation, I did not want to lose it because when the time comes, I want to be able to take this conversation and convert it into audio. So
yeah, yeah.
perfect, perfect, perfect. So let's get back into it. So give me a second. I'm gonna get us started. And we're back, we're back, ladies and gents of the Wise community with this episode called The Glass Ceiling of the Wise Guys podcast. I hope you enjoyed that brief intermission, whether through IG Live or whether through audio. So as we were discussing, we've been talking about the glass ceiling. And, I love the conversation that we've been having thus far. So once again, thank you all who are on the IG Live portion of it for returning. We're so happy to have you back. And it is imperative that we continue these discussions, and it's also eminent and apparent that you all are enjoying this discussion as we speak. So, gentlemen, I wanted to move towards the second half of today's conversation. And with today's second half, it really definitely doubles down on more so as us as a people and how we can do better to uplift our community and move it forward, right? So I wanted to ask you guys this question, which is kind of leaving the space of the corporate world and kind of intertwining it with our every natural day occurrences
Hmm.
as a community, right? So as as a community, right, whether it's the Black community or communities of color, right, whether Latinx, um, Middle Eastern, whatever, right, whatever have you, however it relates to your experiences as a
Yeah.
community. Are we too informal with one another in terms of social gatherings, social cues in terms of where we might be located or working in terms of business and actually working amongst each other, such as black on black businesses, B2B, business to business, or even business to business or whatever that might be, but in a situation where the business to business might be a black business working with, a majority business, that being that, dominantly held by, white people or whatever have you. So as a community, are we too informal with one another? Do we not hold ourselves to a certain standard or a type of value of expectations when maneuvering within our own spaces or within other spaces as well? Are we not socially aware of those cues depending on where we are? And if you need any prime examples, let me know and I'll be sure to contribute.
Yeah, I will ask for an example just because it could go either way, right? So I just want to name
Absolutely,
it. Yeah,
absolutely, absolutely.
yeah.
For example, so let's say we're working, I'm just going to give, an example on my end. Me working at, when I was doing an internship at a publishing company, I was working for Macmillan Publishers down in the financial district of Manhattan while I was attending BC. And I remember, a couple of the interns who were also black, we worked, with obviously white people, right? And we were one time in the boardroom preparing for that week's meeting, and I remember one dude came up to another dude, and he was like, "Yo, what's good, bro?" He's like, "Yo, I'm chilling." He's like, "Yo, how was the weekend?" "Yo, that party was lit. Yo, remember that shorty I was telling you about?" And I'm just like, "Oh gosh, guys, not here, please. No, what are we doing?" You understand what I'm saying? It's just like there calls a time and place where you have those type of conversations, but you should not feel as comfortable to entertain those conversations within a setting like that, whether the meeting has started or not. I mean, if it started, it's even more of an offense, I feel like. But to even feel comfortable within that setting to say something like that, I think is an issue. And then another issue I can bring is if, you know, you're working business to business with another business. Let's say you're not even fully established yet as a business. You haven't filled out any forms, right, in terms of for tax purposes. You haven't even gained access to a EIN, right, an employee identification number, employer identification number. You're still working through Social Security. So you say you have a business, but you're still trying to get the infrastructure and the dynamics of it worked out. And then now you're working with another business, and they're providing the service for you, whether they're a printing press or a printing factory, to print out your products, get them right. And then you're like, oh, I didn't know it was going to cost this much to make this amount of T-shirts or whatever the case may be. And it's like, but I gave you a rate prior to, and I told you per unit of each item, this was going to be the exact cost. And you're like, oh, well, you know, you're ripping me off. I didn't expect that. Like, I thought you were going to give me a discount, whatever, whatnot. It's just like, bro, like, this is business. Like, what do you thought? This was going to be some type of informality because we grew up on the same block and went to the same church, and I go to your mom's house for cooking on Sundays? Like, come on, bro. This is business, brother. Like, right now we're friends, but we're not friends in terms of this business right now. Business is clear as day, right? There's no middling around. It's a fine line between black and white. This is what it is. So those are just some examples I wanted to throw at you and give you guys.
I get what you're saying. The funny thing is, the only reason why we notice the only reason why you even notice those things is because we're black people, wherever we are, we always looking at what other black people are doing. Because white people do the same thing. They do the same thing, but nobody really like look at it as a group thing. It always goes back like we can
explain.
I've seen white dudes at work do like stupid stuff. And then the boss was like, when I used to work in real estate, like one of the agents did something that wasn't even smart. He said something in a meeting and everybody's like, come on, like you don't say that. But it was just about him. Now, if I said that, it would have been different because in my mind, I'm like, damn, I messed up, I'm black. And then, right, so it's always like those things will happen. But I think we do treat, I think when it comes to business specifically, I have a problem with black businesses, and I'll tell you why.
Okay,
I hate the term support my business. My job is not to support a business. Do you know what a business is? I need good services. I need good product. I don't care that you black. Like, just because you black doesn't mean, because that's what we having. Like, the problem we're having is, yo, support your sisters, support your brothers. And then you show up, and then the service is trash. But they, like, it's like, yo, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta, because I'm black or vice versa, or you own the business, and then they're like, yo, you're not gonna give me extra oxtails? Like, yo, we black, like, we're supposed to hold each other down. It doesn't work that way. And I think you're right. We don't hold, like, when it comes to interaction with each other, we expect a lot from other black people, but we don't necessarily treat them the way we treat, like if you have like a white client, or you have like like you go to a white establishment. And again, it goes back to, we do not find divinity in ourselves. We don't look, as much as we say black is king, black is beautiful, we say that to make us feel good. But think about this, the fact that we have to say that is a problem. Because what understood doesn't need to be said. Like, you don't have to say it. Like, you don't wake up every day like, hey, you know, it's true. Each other. Like, there's certain things that, and it sucks because, again, other people can be in this country, and we can just make there's certain mistakes we cannot make. But at the same time, I like, personally, if there's a black business, and I don't even want to call it black business, if there's a business that is delivering, that's owned by a black person, that's delivering good product, I want to talk about the product. I want to promote the product and not the person, because that's what we do. We promote, like when Jay-Z came out with Tidal, oh, you know, it's Tidal, you know, it's owned by black owned. Yes, but how does that translate into making black people better? And I'm not saying Tidal did it, but what I'm saying is we need to get away from, hey, exactly. I don't care if it's purple owned, is it good, right? If
Yeah.
your service is good, it's good. I'm gonna come in, but I'm not supporting a business. Come support me. No, I don't want to support you. It's a equal transaction. You sell this product, and I will come back because you have good customer service
True.
and you also have a good product. Even white people cannot afford to have a business with bad product and bad reputation, and it's gonna succeed.
Mhm.
It's just that's how it works.
Yeah.
No,
That's
agreed,
facts.
agreed.
That's facts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll jump in. Gene, everything you said, that's very true. But what stood out to me, you spoke about like not having to announce like my blackness, right, in order to attract an audience. And I agree with that. And, you know, we all fall victim to that because I know for me now, I live in New Jersey, like this Jamaican restaurant I always order from. And like every time I order from them, there's something wrong with the order. They miss something or, you know, they just do something. And I just keep going back to it because the food is so good, right? But whenever that happens, like sometimes I find myself like, man, see, this is why I can't mess with black businesses. It's like, why you messed up my order, right? But there's other times where I'm like, I'm not even looking at the color of the person. I just want to know, is the business right? Is it good, right? Like I read Google reviews. Like if there's Yelp reviews, I'll read it. Like I'm not necessarily looking at, you know, the color of the person. But unfortunately, if we're being all honest with ourselves, we live in a society in which we all do it, right? We all look at, there's a stigma, right? There's a standard that we all, like the stigma, it happens, and the standard, we all look at, you know, the person behind the business, right? That's the reality of it. Gene just said a couple years ago, Jay-Z came out with Tidal, right? You know, people looking at it like, oh, okay, black owned, but like, you know, the reality of it is, I don't know if so much of us went ahead and said, oh, it's Jay-Z, let's support this black business, right? Whereas most of us may have Spotify. But
Yeah.
when we really break it down and just look at, you know, the gist of this conversation right now, it comes down, yes, thank you, Greg. It comes down to the quality of the business. I don't care about how you look like, to be honest with you. I really personally don't care. I just care about, can you deliver good quality? And it goes back to the conversation we had in the other segment about image, right? I don't care how you look like if you're in the professional world. I don't care how you look like if you're a teacher. It's based on your skills. What skills can you bring to the table? Like your appearance is, you know, it's there, but what skills can you bring to the table? Therefore, like we as like black men and the fellow black community, you know, sometimes like when we're quote unquote supporting our black businesses, we need to like also get out the stigma of, hey, can I get a discount? Hey, can I get a friend discount? Like, you
But
know, just support it.
if you support
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
and again, that's why I'm so big. I'm big on words. If I support my kids, if I pay child support, I will pay what's required and nothing above. Anything above, that's at my own discretion, right? Like that's at my own discretion. If someone said, "Hey, can you support this? You know, like, can you support this person, this business?" Okay, I'm gonna give them $10. Or I'm like, when there's support this family that lost a child. You go on GoFundMe, you give what you
All
can.
right.
When you go to Chipotle, there's a price. You also have an expectation of what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
And those two need to be matching. If you pay $10, you get rice, chicken, steak, guac, you're good to go. But for us, that support, it's like by default, we're just gonna mess with you because of the color of your skin. If we say that, that's also saying white people shouldn't let us, like, they shouldn't buy from us. They should go buy from their brothers. So for me, take that support out. Put out good, great product. There's certain
Yeah.
products that come out, you don't care who made it. You're like, yo, this is dope. I'm just gonna buy it and keep it moving. That's what we
It's
need.
true. It's very true. I agree. I agree with you guys 100%. And I think that, you know, living in the world that we do now, you know, anyone can be an entrepreneur, anyone can sell product, anyone can create things. And I think more now, often than not, when we do come out of the woodworks and say, you know, it's, you'll support it, yo. You know what I'm saying? It's a black-owned business. We're trying to get things right, whatever, whatnot. I automatically don't fall victim or fall as a whatever to the fallacies of your business, because the fact that you had to say it to me like that, it just goes to show, because I'm someone who is, aspirational and is moving in terms of actually putting out product as we speak, right? Even though I'm not where I would like to be right now, I understand that it's a race, not a race. Sorry, I understand it's a marathon. It's a journey. It's not a sprint. But I believe in my product, and I know eventually when you look at what I have in terms of like the back end, right, and you look at my catalog, you're gonna be like, oh wow, he's always been doing great work. I mean, now he's probably elevated more because he has more eyes on him and he has more resources to continue to be creative in terms of putting things out through music or through film. Or through journalism, through media, which is what I do. But it's like the self-belief was always there. So it was just a matter of time before you all caught up, regardless, because of the amount of the great work that I do. And now also being in a certain position where I have a certain type of people around me who can provide me with the resources to put a certain amount of eyes on my work through marketing and advertising. But you saying, yeah, it's black owned. We just trying to do that. We ain't trying to do crap. What that sounds like is you trying to believe in yourself. You're really trying to believe that I actually could do this. I don't want to hear that. I encounter those people every day. We just try to raise the movement, brother. We just try to, so if you support us, you're trying to convince yourself that if I convince myself in saying this to him, he's going to support me. You lost me from the start. I'm not supporting.
And you know what the problem is? That's why a lot of black businesses don't grow. Why?
Yes.
Because the people that support you are the people that know you, your friends. If I put out a product, you guys will be compelled to buy it just because you know me. And you buy the product and that's it. There's nothing that moves after that, right? Because the focus is we bought it because it's Gene's business. We didn't buy it because it's Gene's business and Gene's product is super dope. Right? I have a friend, and I'm gonna shout him out. A Jordan. He makes clothes. Let me tell you, I went to buy he makes hoodies and shirts. And if you check him out, A Jordan, the letter A and Jordan, right? Shameless plug in, right? So
okay.
I went to buy his hoodies, and when I put that hoodie on, I'm like, bro, everybody sells sweaters, but your hoodies are actually, it feels good. Like I like this stuff. Like I'm wearing it all the time. So it's no longer about him, it's about his product. But if it's all about support Adrian, then the same people that supported you the first wave, they're going to support you when the second product come out. You never grow.
That's true.
You never grow because people are not going to support you. People that don't know you not going to support you.
Right.
I want to be behind the product. Like when they were trying to change the name of like Aunt Jemima, they changed it. But just people thinking, we don't know who's behind it. Yo, that's Aunt Jemima. Like she's been,
right.
You know what I'm saying? That's what you want to get to. Promote your product, don't promote yourself.
Yeah, very true, very true. I was going to say something real quick if you're going to say something more. I was going to say, no, it's true. Like, and I'm very objective when it comes to business. Like, I know I'm putting out a wealth of work, whatever, whatnot. But if one of you guys don't support it or buy whatever, I don't feel no type of way, right? Because more than likely, maybe my product or my service isn't meant for you all. Now, when I do come across someone who's like, hey, I want to buy, I want to support, and I don't know them, I'm just like, wow, all right. It's those little things. I'm heading in that right direction, that right step. My product or my service of me putting out literature in the form of fashion of poetry or whatever it is, maybe that speaks to that person. And then now maybe I've given them just enough with like my trailer on my life or whatever they might see on Instagram. Like, you know what? That's actually kind of dope. I might have come across his brand through looking at, this hashtag because he hashtagged it, but I'm a support. And to me, that's the win. That's exactly the win, But what are you going to say, Mark? I hope you didn't lose your train of thought, bro.
Oh, no, it's cool. It's cool. It's all good. So I just feel like when it comes to, where people claiming that they have a black-owned business, it kind of shows that they don't really understand marketing. Because, of course, when we're selling a product, we have to go directly to the product. We have to show value in the product. But instead of doing that, they're saying, hey, I'm black. Hey, I'm trying to make it. That doesn't make me want your product. Now I feel, if you're trying to make it, now I feel empathy towards you, but I'm not really, it doesn't make me want your product more. So it really just shows that we really don't, a lot of us don't understand marketing. We just go towards empathy. Just feel bad for me, man. Just give me something, man. What do you got? Whatever you can do. And it just becomes a problem because, like Gene said, you can't scale that way. You can't scale off of support. you can only sell a product to your family and friends once or twice. After a while, they don't want your garbage anymore. You know what I mean? Now you gotta now you have to go outside of your warm market, and you have to try to bring in people that don't know you. And people that don't know you aren't going to support you unless you've got a cup and you're begging for money. Then you can get strangers to really give it to you. But, you know, that's pity at that point. And, you know, touching on the discount thing too, it shows that, you know, we really don't understand networking, right? Because a lot of our people will say, oh, you need a car? Oh, I got a friend that owns a car shop over there. He'll give you a good deal. If you're my friend, why are you telling people to get something from me for less money? Why are you recommending people to me that are going to want to pay less? Don't market me as some, you know, low cost whatever. You know, like you can't do that to people. So we don't understand networking in that aspect. We think the more friends we have in businesses, the more discounts we have. I have sources of cheap products, and it's just bad marketing, because if you're recommending me to your friend and he's coming to my business, you're marketing me as the cheap guy, and I don't want to be the cheap guy.
It's so true. That is very, very, very true. Very true.
That's so true, bro.
Yo, that is so true. And I'm, you know, I don't want to hold up too much of the time, because I, you know, as the moderator, I like to push this conversation forward and chime in here and there. I don't want to talk too much, but I just want to make a quick comment on that. Matter of fact, it's not even a comment. Mark, remember when I was at your place last week, brother? When I was over, you know, at your place seeing you? Right. What did I say? Look, I respect you. I appreciate you. Cool. But the book is still 30, bro. The book is still 30. Exactly. So the only reason it was 20 before was for two reasons. The photography is black and white. That's 20. Yep. But you know how much it costs to print the photography within this book of poetry and essays in color? Nah, the book is 30. And yes, he got a discount because of said reasons. A bulk order, different. But the book is 30. Pay the fee. Thank you very much.
And when you were telling me that story about that situation that happened, it's just like, it really just shows that, you know, you can tell who's not valuing your product. Because if you go to a friend and say, hey, listen, I'm selling something, they should be more than happy to pay full price right then and there. If they're looking to discount it, they're basically saying, man, I don't think it's worth all that. Let me see what else I can give you. And that's just disrespect. The first thing we should do is pay full price. So
that's because they don't believe in the product. Again, when you buy for the value of the product, you do not discount. When you fly first class, you don't ask why it's so expensive. It's first class.
First class. True. I mean, to even add on, like, you know, ladies, any ladies in here, when you know, go get your hair done, or fellas, when you go get a haircut, like, the standard price is the standard price for the barbershop. Like, I'm not gonna go there knowing that my barber's gonna charge me $30. I'm not gonna go there and be like, all I have is 15. Like, they're gonna look at me like I'm crazy. So you make value of the product. Therefore, just support it, and that's it. Like, just go and look at it based on the value of it and how well it fits with you. And if you are the vendor, look at your audience and just see how you can you know, help your audience be awesome. But don't look at it as a support.
So that's so true, Jim. That rings paramount. So as I said to Mark last week, I'm gonna say to you, gentlemen, as well, and anyone here in this chat today for this Wise Guys Forum, yes, is part of it, but more prevalent, you can't cheat the game, especially if you're trying to work within the game of life in terms of conducting business, regulating business, and you're trying to get somewhere. That price is the price. If you're trying to print up clothes or you're trying to print up books, if that factory says it's $800 for that bulk order of 100 books, it's $800. You can't cheat the game. And if you cheat the game, you cheat the person you're in business with, you cheat life, and ultimately cheat yourself. So you can't cheat the game. The price is the price.
There's a comment in the chat from my brother Tom. So
go ahead, read it, Gene.
You aren't saying that black businesses are cheap product. I think that the marketing strategy needs, and you said it, Tom, you said promoting black businesses, but we want to promote black businesses that have the right product, that we believe in the product, because we can't just support because it's a black business, right? Like, we can't just support and then that means, hey, I can get less of the treatment, right? If I go to an establishment and I don't get treated right, I'm not going back. right? Like, or like I make that decision myself. But it's a lot to ask when you say support a business. I think promoting the business is the better, like promoting the product or promoting the idea or the concept instead of, you know, focusing on, hey, it's from the same color, so by default you should just buy my product.
Right.
I think you clarified that up beautifully. Yeah, in no way. I hope you didn't get that misconstrued. Yeah, we were. Yeah, no way were we saying that for sure in terms of promoting Black-owned business. Thank you so much, Gene, for clarifying that and tying it all up. Excellent, excellent. All right, gentlemen. So we moved on to the final question of the day of this second segment, the glass ceiling, and also the episode overall, the glass ceiling. It's been great and so much fun having you all here. So this question here, gentlemen, says to kind of close us out. Again, it's another one of those broad questions, but I kind of like to leave us in those spaces for us to kind of just percolate our brains a bit and to see how we can get ourselves moving, you know, just on the train of moving forward in life. So the question reads, how do we uplift, right? How do we uplift our community, or how do we uplift our communities in a sense, and begin a course of trajectory to success and upward mobility? What does that look like? And, you know, for any person here who might be unfamiliar with the term upward mobility, it's essentially just a way of saying, you know, working from, you know, a lower class system and working yourself up to middle class, or just a class in terms of respectability, in terms
Moving
of
up the
salary.
ladder.
Yeah, moving up the ladder, socioeconomic ladder. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jimmy. So whoever would like to go first in tackling this question, please be sure to do so. I'd greatly appreciate it.
I'm gonna go for as simple as that. I think for us as a community, we need to start. We worry so much about the community and uplifting others, right? I think family, I've said it before, family structure is one, right? Like making sure we do right by our sisters, making sure that we are there to raise our kids, making sure that we keep each other accountable. We aren't just saying, hey, you're doing the right thing, like just because of the color of the skin, right? Like holding each other accountable, family structure, making sure that we raise the percentage of families that have like the value of the Black and Latin and whatever community you're from. Like that's where everything starts. It starts from the family and then pours out into society. Right now, it seems like it's going backward, right? So by the time it gets into the family, there's actually not no structure, you know, place for kids to develop, right? So definitely family structure needs to be reestablished. Like one thing that I can say is finding some type of finding some type of meaning, or like have more integrity, like especially for men, right? Like have some type of integrity and not glorify things that hurt our community. And I'm part of the problem, right? I'm gonna say here, I'm part of the problem. We listen to music, and it's so hard because we are able to listen to music that glorifies killing and drugs. We don't do drugs. So for us, it's like, hey, that's just music. For somebody else, that's not just music, right? So like getting to a point where we can, as a community, we can, from every single angle, we can like put out positive message and have a self-image. Like if you think about, like if I said if I say Asian teenager or Asian men, you think, hey, he works, he has this, he's doing that. For Black men, for some reason, the social identity of what a Black man is even for us, is so bad. Like we see each other sometimes and we already judging like, oh, this guy, no, that's not the type of Black people I need to be around. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. To be able to get to a place where we accept each other, we understand each other, and we hold each other accountable so that people can learn. We're not going to all grow at the same time, right? But I think individually, if we do what we have to do and show up in the world as good men, as men of integrity and of men of structure, and being able to be solid with our word and solid with the action that we take, I think that's changing the minds of others, right? That like, wow, like this is attainable. A lot of us had influences from men. I had influences for Black men that work in universities, and when I was working in a school, and I look at them like, wow, like this is doable. Like I don't have to do anything else. I can do this, right? And not saying that like we always want role models and mentors, but I think being able to see a reflection of yourself is really important, because if you're not able to dream, you won't be able to accomplish, right? So giving a chance for kids to see that, hey, I don't have necessarily to do this path. Oh, I can actually create my path. because somebody else is doing it that looks like me, or somebody else is taking those chances and staying solid on what, like, integrity, again, integrity, family structure, being able to be a good man, and eventually, better fathers, better, healthier, community, healthier relationship, healthier marriages, because that's where everything starts. We can invest all the money we want. If you're gonna blow that money on buying cars and blow that money on doing things that are not gonna move everybody else forward, then it's a lost cause.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, you
That's a
covered all
good
bases
point.
on that. Yep.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Jimmy, Mark, I don't know if any of you guys have
Oh, sure.
thoughts to pitch in.
For sure. I mean,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
covered
yeah.
so many bases. I mean, family is definitely the root of everything, because they say that we learn our financial habits by the age of 7. So that means essentially all of us are, put in a really bad situation early. But the thing about, our generation is, we learn from our parents, right? So that was really our main source of information, aside from school. But now this generation has it a bit different, where they have access to tons of knowledge through YouTube, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I earned the equivalent of a master's degree on YouTube. Just the amount of information and knowledge that I've absorbed. So, these kids just have to really just be curious and really search for the information, because it's there, right? And they can take that information and then pass it down to their kids and really establish that, that knowledge, that family knowledge of learning finance and learning, just how to manage their money, because, it really doesn't matter. Like, as long as we keep following these same paths, our children will be financially illiterate, over and over and over. But now we have the internet, which kind of disrupts that generational curse. And I think if we can use it properly, our kids can really move forward. I mean, it's crazy. You got like kids on TikTok, 9, 10 years old, talking about stock market investing. That's unheard of, man. I've never heard anything like that. Even if they're doing it the wrong way, they're starting so early. These mistakes that they're incurring are going to pay dividends in the future. So I feel like they're on a better path than we were, judging by their age, just because of all the information around them. I mean, you look at Earn Your Leisure, you look at so many other different influencers that are continuously putting out content, and a lot of our community is following them. I mean, even if they're not implementing all of it, they can teach their children what they've learned, because now they have a credible source. Our credible source was always our mom and dad, and we're not rich, so it apparently it wasn't the 100% right financial teachings. So, man, the internet is going to be powerful, man. I think it's going to create a lot more wealth in our community just based on the knowledge that we're getting so early. So it's looking much better. I think it's looking much better this time around.
No, it's true. It's very true. And it's interesting you said that, because, whether you grew up in a single parent household or you grew up in a 2-parent household, our parents did the best that they could.
Yeah.
Like, when I think about my dad, you know what I'm saying, God rest his soul. When I think about my dad, when I was a kid growing up, every Sunday evening when we would have dinner after church, and my dad would always try to probe me with questions or pick my brain on like what would I would like to be when I grow up. And, every week or year, it seems like it would change, between the ages of like 7 to like 14. And I remember my dad would always tell me, like, son, look into law, look into medicine, look into engineering, because with those 3 fields, law, medicine and engineering, you're never going to be broke, or you're always going to be able to make money, right? But the older I've gotten, it's just like, it was so much more than that. Like, yes, there is a stability that comes with that, but like, Dad, you didn't tell me about the student loans that come with that. You didn't tell me about the amount of time that goes into years of the student loans, the interest rates, just compounding and things of that nature, right? I didn't know about that though, Dad. And again, that's no shot towards my father or anything like that, but it just makes me think of like, you gave me what you thought was the best route or the best option. And I'm so appreciative for it, but there are still many different things within the intricacies of the details, like the fine line of the seaming, right? When pressing the shirts or putting the cotton material together, that I didn't know about. Then that's the fabric of the DNA that us, and I'm not trying to play the victim mentality. It's just that, again, it goes back to the earlier point I made at the beginning of the episode, right? At 21, learning about those things that I did in college, I felt as if I was an 11-year-old boy in the college classroom. Like, oh my God, I'm learning with my legs kicked up in the air, just flailing around watching my favorite television program. Like, I couldn't believe it. But it's just interesting in that sense. So yeah, definitely I agree with what you both had to say, gentlemen, both Gene and Mark. And same thing for you, Jim. Any thoughts or ideas in closing out in terms of like how we could uplift the communities in terms of success or upward mobility or anything of that nature?
Yeah, yes. Actually, my buddy Felix wrote a lot has to do with your local school system and resources. There are so many fields and opportunities we weren't privy to coming out of the inner city. And
true.
Felix and I, we went to the same high school. So that's, for starters, we went to an excellent high school, in my opinion. I don't think I would be a teacher to this day if I didn't go to that high school. But just piggybacking off what everyone said, because I myself have direct access to kids, and I work in a neighborhood that's predominantly Black and Latinx. Like that's there's no Asian kids in our schools, no white, there's no other ethnicity. It's like Black and Latinx, that's it. And when we talk about like the upward mobility, one thing that I've learned is you can't save everyone. Number one, like, you know, as an educator, like you want to change the world. You want to be this great person who just like influences everyone. But you get to a point where you understand like people who want to be great are going to push themselves, right? You can only give them an amount of resources, like Felix just said. You could give them exposure. That's all you could do for people. So when we talk about like lifting the community up as like a whole community, I think to everyone's point, it does start with family. It does start with teaching the younger generation financial literacy. It does start by teaching the younger generation how to eat a little bit healthier. It does start with us leading by example, because like one thing that, you know, you learn is it's not taught, it's caught, right? Like kids, they see what you do, they don't listen to what you say. So when we talk about like a whole community itself, I think it starts with like being proactive. It starts again, the teaching the financial literacy, the teaching the healthy eating habits, the giving the kids exposure, because that's how other communities see. They have exposure to everything. Like if you go to different schools around the U.S., or if you go to different schools, like if you live in New York, you know, people who get exposure in schools, they typically are the ones who are successful. Like, it's just the reality of it. It doesn't matter if you're Black, white, purple, yellow, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like Felix, Rodney, who's in this chat room, Felix, Greg, who's a real estate agent, who's also a teacher, we all went to the same high school. We got exposure. We are 4 Black men who got exposure to different activities, different sports, different electives in school, different type of teachers who gave us the resources, and here we are. Like we're 4 Black men who are successful. So I think when we talk about uplifting the community, that's where it starts. Like it starts from home, but you have to expose the future. You have to expose children to different options. Everyone can be a basketball player. Everyone can be a rapper. What if that kid wants? What if the future generation are great golfers? So what if they're like great at playing cricket or running in the Olympics? Like we have to expose people to different options to give you, you know, a taste of, oh, maybe I could do this when I grow up, or maybe this is how I can help my community, or maybe I could do that. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. When we talk about lifting upward, that is the only way we're going to lift upward.
Yeah, that's amazing that you said that. It's so funny because I use so I used to work in nonprofit. I have some of my students, actually, one of my old students. I think 2 of them joined.
Oh, that's
right.
What's up.
So
shout out to them.
And you know, I when I was working there, I worked there for 11 years. So from age 18 all the way to 29. Yeah, 29. And at one point, I told my boss this. I was like, I don't believe what I preach anymore. So my job was to transition students who didn't graduate from high school, help them get their GED and go to college, right? And that's the pill that's been fed to everyone, knowing that we don't start the race at the same place.
Yeah.
But we have to go through the same, like the same courses. We have to go through the same, like the same hurdles in the school, but I'm already coming in with so many hurdles. It's like, it doesn't even make sense to run the race sometimes. And I was pushing more towards trade school. I had access to some of the projects that were happening in the Bronx, as far as like buildings and stuff like that. So I was trying to get some student who clearly can't stay in school for 4 years, at least right now at 18, they don't know what they want to do. they can get into different sectors, whether it's trade school, even if it's driving an Uber, just getting a sense of like, hey, let me get out there and figure things out. And that message wasn't well received. And that was part of the reason why I left, because my thing has always been, I'm trying to teach these kids that there's more out there. I went to Baruch College. I was living in the Bronx. I went to Baruch College. I grew up in a different country, went to an international school. So I've been around different cultures enough that I know, like I was exposed to things. And one thing that the reason why I left was I want to be able to be in a place where I can show them what it feels like and what it looks like, instead of telling them this is what you should do. I was telling them, you should go to school, you should get your degree, school is free. We say that all the time, and I even said that earlier. But if your mom is getting evicted next week, do you think it's time to think about a geography course?
Yeah.
Do you have time to think about calculus and being an engineer, right? So it's really important for us to not only teach the other generation, and even if we don't have we don't have to give them the advice. We can point them to the right places to get the advice. That's the good thing about the internet, like you were saying. I don't need to know how to do something, but I can find someone who knows and tell you, hey, this is where you can go. And then at the same time, just understanding that, hey, like, I don't necessarily, like, for Black people, and that comes from poverty, we don't have to be millionaires to be where we need to be. Hey, do I have life? A lot of people are working hard for my kids. If you don't have life insurance, I don't want to hear it. Like, you could lose your business.
Right.
Like, it's just simple things that we need to learn so that we can teach our kids. And we, like you said, your dad taught you certain things. He probably taught you structure, go to church, you come, you eat at the table. Those little things pay off. He didn't teach you everything. Now that you've had student loans or you've had certain things, now your kid, that's how we move a community forward. It's not going to be overnight, but it's going to be, hey, Kevin's dad gave him structure. Kevin got structure. He got entrepreneurship. He got a little bit of, this and that. Okay, he's going to take that, give it to his son. His son is going to after we give it to his son. That's how we move forward. Yeah. The only thing is we started 400 years later. We couldn't pass down anything. What was going to pass down? Right? So we started passing down after 400 years. And the problem is many people are passing down trauma instead of passing down a little bit of knowledge that can help the kids move, a little bit further.
Yeah, no, that's excellent. I think Eli or Felix, one of those two had said it earlier. Like, how can we possibly, equate ourselves in such status or realms of, sustainability when they've had a 400-year start on us? That's interesting, though. It kind of ties the whole conversation together.
And Tom said we need men to step up. We definitely need men to step up. A lot of men. We need to be good example. We need to be good example. Like, I'm not going to tell you, listen, sometimes it's easy to go out there and do the wrong thing, but you have to think about, that's another family that's broken. That's another kid that has no dad. That's another mom that's hurt, and now he's going to look for love in the wrong places. And we're not perfect. I'm not saying we're perfect, but I think we have to make a decision knowing that I don't have to. The way I uplift my community is by me being the best version of myself.
Yeah, that's it.
You can't uplift the community by giving turkeys, but then you have kids you're not feeding. Like,
it's true.
It doesn't work.
It's true. It's very true. Oh, man, gentlemen. Honestly, and I'm not trying to be biased here, but compared to the first two episodes we did together, I think this one trumps them all, honestly. This might be the best one yet. Oh, it's crazy that this is the last one. But again, like I said before, Wise Community, the Wise Guys platform is still going to exist. As I was talking to Mark about it last week, it will be more so transitioning into the space of a production company, whether that be through film or through documentaries about, Black people and people within the Black community. So definitely, for sure, this is not the last time these powerful gentlemen and these inspiring gentlemen will be here with me. More than anything now, especially since I'm doing video production, the next time we might meet might be an actual panel discussion behind us sitting at a table with the camera in front of our face. I don't know, but this is definitely not the last time, I promise you, for sure.
That's
God willing, it definitely isn't.
That's
oh yeah, definitely.
Something up. I like
hey,
that.
Man, we trying out here, man. We trying, yo. You know. Nah. I take that back. We're not trying. We executing. I had to. No, this is 2021. This is my year. I'm executing every single step of the way. So I'm done with that trying stuff. I'm executing, whether people like it or not. So with that being said, I just want to say, shout out to everyone you know, who has been here rocking with us today. Shout out to Rodney, shout out to Eli, shout out to Felix, shout out to Greg, shout out to the lovely Dawn, Jimmy's wife. I know she was on a little earlier supporting whatever, whatnot. Whoever who has been on the chat, Tom as well. Shout out to all of y'all. We really appreciate y'all for rocking with us. If you haven't heard the prior episodes in which these gentlemen are on, please be sure to go back and revisit. Gene and Jimmy had their own separate episodes on season 1, episode 6, and episode 9. And as well as we got together, all of these fine gentlemen, for a conversation in terms of business. I think, I forget the exact episode, but it was probably episode 34 or 35. So please be sure to check those out. And with that being said, again, it's just always a pleasure, my brothers, and I always appreciate the great talk. It's always good stimulating the minds, pushing ourselves, and always trying to grow and expand. So with that being said, a couple of things. Gene, I'm still going to hold you to it, brother. Now that I'm in the Philly, NJ area, you know what I'm saying? Holler at me whenever you're ready. I'm going to make that trip because Jersey's only.
I was ready today.
I know you was, but I wasn't. I know you was, but I wasn't, unfortunately. Nah, that's me. Yeah, I'm 15 minutes out.
Jimmy's like 20 minutes away, so
that's perfect. Now we gonna link. We gonna link. I'm 15 minutes outside of Jersey, so that's perfect now. And again, Mark, my brother, I always appreciate you for always hopping on the platform and for always doing this. Rod says, appreciate this, fellas. This was awesome, man. I'm glad you really enjoyed it, man. I hope you took something from it and it inspires you throughout your day and your weeks to come. All right. So for those of you who would like to know these gentlemen's social media, I'll be sure to tag them so that way you can follow them and stay up to date with what they're doing. They're all doing amazing things in their respective sectors. Yeah, man. But when you do though, bro, when you do, you know, you drop that knowledge. You know what I'm saying? It's substance. It's quality over quantity, which is what I love.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's all good. So, as I said before, the Wise Guys podcast can be found on all streaming platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Anchor, Breaker, you name it, and you can find us there, The Wise Guys, all right? You will be seeing my brother Mark come back on one final time this season for the final episode, which is going to be a compilation episode of all our favorite moments. I haven't told him this yet, but of all our favorite moments on the podcast, just going to be collecting and compiling tidbits of our favorite moments and what we enjoyed during our time on this show. So again, this is season 4 for The Culture, our final season. Keep rocking out in terms of like these stylistic type of panel interviews, and we're going to close it out strong, okay? So as I said at the beginning of the podcast, this is the man, Kevin Anglade, and bringing back on our very special guest co-host and former co-host of the Wise Guys,
Mark Pruden.
And we are joined by our Wise Guys brothers and alumni in
Jimmy Frederick
and Jin Yao.
And you have been tuning into the Wise Guys podcast. And if anything, another video coming out maybe one more time. We have one more audio and video interview coming soon. And as I always say, see you next week.
All right, guys.
Stay wise. Guys.
Peace.
Yes, I was waiting for the stay wise, Mark. All right, guys. Appreciate y'all. Take care.
All right.
All right. Peace.